Alright, so now I'm going to go through the bonus missions on Impossible Mission for the Marine. And again, I am still doing the commentary after the fact. Simply because it just requires too much concentration to get through these levels successfully. Because you essentially have to go through these pretty much untouched. There's very little room for error here. Now I know that there are facehuggers in this area, so I like to use the flamethrower on them. It's just the safest weapon to use, really. There's always a second one here. And then behind me, or I guess now in front of me, there's an alien. So just always be on your toes. I actually hate this level for the Marine. It might actually be... It's definitely up there on one of the hardest Marine missions. There are a lot of aliens in the beginning section and multiple sections where aliens just drop down on you, so... Especially on this cheat mode, where you can take a crazy amount of damage from just a little attack. Now, there's actually a grenade launcher over here, as well as a health pack, so I like to switch to the proximity mines, just in case I ever have to use it. These standard grenades are pretty useless, especially the fragmentation grenades. So only the proximity mines really have any value, at least to me. It's cheap in multiplayer, but since we're just talking about the AI now. So the next thing to do is drop down here, and this is one of those spots that I mentioned an alien could drop down on top of you, so as soon as you shoot the glass there, aliens can start pouring out of the room over here. And now we begin the middle section of this level, which requires destroying the same levers that you had to destroy as an alien. So I deliberately only take the minigun, and I skip the armor and health, just to save them for later. As you can hear, there are a lot of Xenos piling up in various spots, so they seem to be underneath the lift. As long as you're over here, the lift won't descend for them, so just take your time to kill the aliens. Definitely do not shoot a grenade at this point, because you'll just end up killing yourself. So once they're all taken care of, you can go down either hallway. And now I'm going to need that health and armor. As I said, very little room for error. Around these corners, the smart gun isn't a terrible choice to use. So that's one. Then down this path, there's the second one. As you can see, I'm inching my way slowly. This is one of those bonus missions where you really have to be very slow and methodical. Now, at this point, there are going to be Praetorians on either side, and once you kill one, the other Praetorian will automatically be triggered. So you're going to have to switch to the minigun here to take them out very quickly. So once you enter this area, the Praetorian awakens, and then the other one will bomb rush you from this side. As you can see, I already took out that lever. Then to save ammo, I switched to the smart gun. If you do not get the smart gun in the beginning, which it's possible that it gets destroyed by a facehugger or something, I highly recommend just restarting or getting yourself killed. because the smart gun's very helpful here. Now that all those levers are destroyed, you can actually go up here, and this is one of the douchiest placements of a facehugger ever. Right up here is actually a facehugger. And if you don't know that, or if you don't hear that and you just fly up, you can just instantly get killed. And speaking of instant kills, this is another place where you can get insta-killed. If you fly up high enough, I believe it's a Praetorian, or possibly a Praetorian, will just descend. Yes, it's a Praetorian. Will just drop from the ceiling. As you can see, it just fell down there. And this is one of the reasons why the smart gun is so helpful, is that it can actually fire at the Praetorian while you're hovering in the air, and it'll just track the Praetorian on the ground, even without you having to aim at it. So that's a very helpful little trick that I found out there after dying a lot to the Praetorian that falls down. I think that's a very shitty thing to do. And of course I'm just flying over here to see if I can trigger anything else. And it looks like I cleared it all. So now, of course, comes the end of the mission, where you have to kill 2 more Praetorians. What I like to do is I like to prompt him to appear over here. And you actually don't have to kill them, but they are in your way. I suppose you could go around, but as you can see, that one's fidgeting around up there. So since I really don't want to take any damage, because 1 leap from a Praetorian will instantly kill me, I'm trying to get him to drop down here. I suppose you could go around, but for some reason that's something I'd never tried. Anyway, since you can't use the minigun while you're flying, and you need to fly at this point, it only makes sense to go through this very slowly with a smart gun. So I want to go through here. Another Praetorian will spawn. Here you could use the minigun, but since I like to give myself the option to fly, I like to use the smart gun here. And you just go over here and we're done. So now we're in Vaults, the second bonus mission for the Marine on Impossible Mission, and this is kind of backloaded with the difficulty. The beginning and middle sections are really not too bad. It's just the ending that can really fuck you over. And that's one of the things that's very risky about this, is that you can do an almost perfect run. You can do a pretty much perfect run and then get completely fucked over at the very end. So that's kind of what I mean when I say this is backloaded with the difficulty. Now you can take a lot of damage here, so you're going to want to, of course, since this is Impossible Mission, after all, you're going to want to engage the aliens from as far back as possible. But you can find a health pack here, and an armor pickup right there. This next room is a bit tricky, and you're actually on a 5-minute time limit before the commander gets killed. There are some skeeter launchers in a couple of these rooms on the side, but it's not really necessary, and it can probably do more damage to you than to enemies, so what's the fucking point? The time limit in this level always confused me, because it seemed like there were a lot of pickups in here that you were meant to get, but you really don't have that much time to explore. So maybe it wasn't a very well conceived level. At this point, since the rooms are very small, I switch to the minigun to kill the enemies as quickly as possible. And from as far back as possible. The other thing about the minigun is that it tends to spray acid in your face. I don't know why, but maybe it's just the force does it. Like, the smart gun has that kind of effect too. It's a little bit different from the pulse rifle, so that's why I like to stand as far back as possible. I know that the enemies like to drop down from the ceiling. But one of the things I really like about this game is that it kind of forces you to keep moving, because if you stay in one place, you will get consistently swarmed with enemies, so this is not a good position to be in, as you can imagine, kind of trapped in the corner. So that was pretty lucky. I believe this level only took me one retry, and the reason was because the commander ended up dying. But in general, this is not... Just did that to refresh my smart gun. In general, this is not really considered too difficult a campaign mission, I mean. So free aim is definitely recommended here, because if you use the tracking aim, or the smart targeting system, as it's called, you might end up hitting the commander. Now the commander can spawn in one of 3 spots, I believe, and there are at least 3 aliens you need to kill at the end here, so they appear in random rooms. If you end up killing them all, then you win. Alright, so we're here with Ferarco, the 3rd Marine bonus mission on ImpossibleMission, and as you can tell, things start out a little crazy. A Xeno might be in the entrance hallway with you. There's just like a 50% chance he'll be there, so if so, you're gonna have to deal with him really quickly. Fortunately, there's a health pack here, in case you take any damage from him. A lot of this level is in darkness, so I use the image intensifier throughout a large part of it. Like the other mission vaults that I did before, this is also kind of backloaded with the difficulty. The first part's not so bad. It's just really when you get the smart gun that I think the rate of aliens coming at you just gets pretty crazy. So here I just like to take my time, and thankfully there's no time limit here, so you can kind of go as slowly as you want. This is possibly an easier level than vaults. It's definitely not as dickish. It's possibly not as straightforward, but I did like the lighting in this area with the red. Looks really cool. And once you break that, the lights turn blue, and now that I picked up the smart gun, this is where things get crazy. And there might have been a trigger. It definitely seems like this is where the rate of aliens definitely escalates. So I don't really want to proceed until I know that the hallway is clear, but it seems like they just keep coming. And especially on ImpossibleMission, that's not a good combination. Very high rate of aliens. So I don't really have much of a choice, unfortunately. I can't really wait. You can see they just keep coming. So you just gotta kill what's in your way as quickly as possible, and then move. Keep pushing forward. Luckily that one got stuck. It also helps to be able to anticipate when the aliens are jumping, so they actually kind of crouch before they jump, versus just kind of like running straight at you. Here there's some smart gun ammo. And this is kind of a deceptively dangerous place for aliens. If they're jumping around, it can give you a really bad time. Which is why I take this section a lot more cautiously. Because the aliens are weakest when they're on stairs, so I kind of like to wait for them to try to find me by climbing upstairs. But they don't seem to want to have any of it. This is also a very dark place, but I don't want to use my image intensifier at this point. There's too much light. So the flares are what I choose. Now I've sort of crawled down there. I have to kind of remember which way to go. And this is the way to go. First we need to find the security pass, which is in this room. It's either on the table or on one of the side areas. There's also, I believe, a health kit if you need it. This is a very nasty place to deal with the aliens. So you can imagine, because you're in such close quarters and the doors move really slowly, so. But once you get it, and once you get in here, all you have to do is just wait for the mother module to power up, and you're done.